Well, good morning. I'm Tom Grisafi, and you are
Connor Bridgman.
welcome to ATI Pro Media. We're powered by Advanced Trading. We're here with a live studio audience. You can hear the big roar back there. There's a capacity crowd. We're here in Bloomington, Illinois. It's warm today, Connor. We got I think we need the heat. Farmers are optimistic. I talked to your father. I said, "Are you going to be the reason we go down to $3 corn this fall?" He said, "I hope so."
Adam Kleiss.
There's Adam Kleiss calling. Hey, we got our first caller.
Here we go. Rick started the show and said we have a checklist. Mute your cell phone, and Tommy failed the checklist immediately.
No, my cell phone's connected to the mixer, so Mr. Brady Huck could call in. That's great. That's good theater. We knew there would be some problems, and here we go.
Yep.
These aren't problems. This is fun stuff. Speaking of fun stuff, we want to be able to do this. We want to be able to come to your farm show, seed dealers, chemical. We're going to be at Farm Progress, and we're revving up to get ready. This is so odd to be sitting next to you. And you told me something at dinner last night that surprised me. You said, "I've only met Brady Huck once in person."
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I see him every day, but I've only met him once.
And what
in
Brady
person.
tell you before dinner last night?
Okay. Oh, stay away from the old fashioned.
He said, "Stay away from Tommy and the old fashions." Well, we're kicking it old fashioned here live in studio, Bloomington, Illinois, at Advanced Trading Corporate. Today, what do we have on the docket? We have you and I here. After this, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to have Dr. Cesar Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
He has his segment broke down into two parts. If you're out there and you want to watch Dr. Cruz's segment, it'll be part of ATI Pro Media Premium tomorrow and the next day. And then we have Nathan Mangold. What do you think Nate's going to talk about?
I told him whatever he wanted to talk about, I want to hear, and I'm sure they want to hear. But I really hope he talks. Right, Nate's a commercial broker with Advanced Trading, so I want to hear about what's he think on these spreads. Right, we're going from old crop. June options are going to expire next week. July options. Thank you. It's going to expire June 21st, and so with that, what's he looking at when we go from old crop looking at new crop?
And what day is the March 30th? What day is the June 30th crop report this year?
June 30th crop report is the 28th. It's still the June 30th crop report.
It always will be. Ashley, if you're out there, I hope you can hear us.
So, you mentioned about heat, right? It's hot here in Bloomington, and I think that's the name in the game because you know what else is hot? These markets are rallying significantly. Corn, soybeans, wheat are up. Right now, we got July corn.
Let's kick it over to LaSalle Street, JoJo.
Yeah. So we got July corn up 4, Dees corn up 5, July soybeans up 7. Here we go. Nove soybeans up 7 as well. Board of Trade wheat up 6. December wheat up 4. Tommy, give us the you got the equities up?
I will in 1 second. Let's take us to Wall Street. Now, we've had some volatility, folks. If you're out there, we had a Fed meeting yesterday, and that was interesting because when it's not the decision they make, Connor. It's what old Jay Powell, what rolls out of his mouth right after that. So with that, outside markets, big volatility. Dow Jones down 300, NASDAQ up 50, S&P's down 11. Those were much higher earlier. Looking at the gold market was down $30. It's only down 24. Silver down $1. Bitcoin only down a few hundred. And what else do we have here? Copper's lower. Kind of feels like a risk off. Natural gas coming down. I kind of look at natural gas for how much heat we're going to have in usage of that natural gas. Big volatility of the meats, and Brady Huck's going to call in and talk about that, and we'll see what we can do. So
it's nice. We had Conab. I'll let Dr. Cruz talk later and really deep dive the numbers, but we had Conab release their estimates. That's been the big story, is what does Brazil say they have for Brazil production? What does the USDA say Brazil has for production? They've had a big discrepancy, and we're seeing it get a little bit closer. Yesterday, USDA report, they left the Brazil numbers completely unchanged, and then we saw Conab increase their corn number by 3 million metric ton. So along those lines, and with that news, it's nice to see the corn market up. And I got to tell you, I think most of it's weather related, right? Right now, the forecasts were a little bit hot domestically. It looks a little bit warm, but I really think the story, Tommy, is China. Very hot. I saw something where
how do you say China?
How do you say it?
I say it China.
China
Coming in hot.
Over 100-degree temps. We don't talk about it a whole lot, but they're the number 2 biggest corn producer in the world behind the US of A. So if they're going to have production problems, we need to be paying attention to it.
Yeah. And Were you surprised with the CONAB numbers today with are things getting more in line there?
I was very surprised. We've talked a lot about their heat. They have a dry period. It's not abnormal to be dry at this time, but it came a little bit early. So it surprised me that they increased it this much, especially 2-3 months ago. We've seen them slowly cut their estimates, and now they're coming back. So it's going to be interesting to see. That gap is still really wide compared to the USDA, but it'll be interesting to see, are we going to start inching closer together?
Yeah, China could have some vulnerabilities here when they can't, they're not going to the Ukraine. They always used to sneak over Ukraine and buy grain. That's changed a little bit. They do a ton of business with South America. Is it possible, or maybe we thinking that China might come back here? I mean, we had some exports today, didn't we? I noticed that come out early.
Yep.
Do we have that for a pop-up, Joe? I don't know if we popped that up.
Yep, I got you.
Okay. Well, here's CONAB. CONAB increases corn yield.
That's the one I was looking for.
Yeah, here we go. Daily
we go.
sales. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so another good soybean sale, 23, 24. As far as I know, we're still looking for some new crop purchases, right? China's still at the zero, but it is nice to see them come to the table. We need those exports, so it is good to see these flash sales pop up. And we've had one. I think we're keeping the streak alive. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're 4 or 5 days where we've seen a flash sale to China on soybeans.
Yeah, it feels like a trend. We'll take it, right?
Absolutely.
We have a lot of the bean market's not getting excited about it though. Matter of fact, this morning when I woke up, corn was up 5 and beans were still lower. So beans have gotten it going. I'm more interested. Markets are up right now. I'd like to see where they close. Yesterday's volatility in corn was interesting. That we had the number come out, nothing happened, went down, rallied to the highs, made new lows, rallied to the highs, and then followed through. I don't know. We're all excited doing a live show because corn rallied 10 cents. Kind of silly, but. We did talk with the young man last night. We went to several places, but long term, we're talking with Tate out of Iowa, and just said that I just don't see things have changed. Like we have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and this great bull market in commodities may be starting to end. And I could see why, with an election coming up, that I promise you, in a few months, you'll hear I helped get food prices lower. It's going to happen with everything. I help get gas lower. I help do this. I help student debt go away. And every administration does it. It's not just this administration. If you and I were running for office, we'd tell people we made their life better too. No one's ever ran on a platform saying, things got worse with me.
Yeah, we're going to raise gas prices and taxes. Please vote for me.
Right. So whether the prices really come down, but the rhetoric, we do have the ability to release energy out of the strategic oil reserve. We do have the ability to do some things, and the dollar's been moving. Brady Huck pointed that out to us last week.
Yes.
We've seen a strong dollar, and that's really maybe changed a few things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so real quick, we'll touch on, we had a USDA report yesterday. It told us a whole lot of nothing, especially on the corn front. They didn't change a single thing. Looking at production, at exports, they left it all unchanged. It was the definition of a USDA punting to next month and looking forward. Soybeans, if you want to say they had some bearish numbers, but again, very little numbers change. Really, the big story on that USDA for me is looking at that Russian wheat number. We saw it. I'm throwing it off the cup. I think they were at 88 million. They cut it to 82. Not necessarily was it unexpected, but that's a big cut. And so that was the big story. And as Tommy said, the price action afterward was very interesting, where we traded down to the lows, up to the highs, and then saw the follow through.
Right. Let's talk about your version of the June 30th crop report. That could be a big one. Lou Hickey was here recording premium yesterday, and we were talking about that. Hey, real quick on premium yesterday, Joe. We did have pop that up. Yesterday's premium was myself, Lou Hickey, and then Connor called in, and we just had a conversation. We talked about, the Fed meeting, and we talked about what affected the markets more, the USDA or the Fed. So Lou Hickey was yesterday's premium. And then if you missed it, you want to catch this one, you definitely want to catch the that recording of Brian Basting, Nathan Mangold, and Drew Moore. That was a really good show. They just calmly break down the numbers. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone better in the industry than our own Brian Basting. So very calm approach to things. And it's, I guess I'm just trying to warn people that things aren't going to be as exciting as they used to be.
Yeah, we're coming off, you said it best, we're coming off war in Ukraine, COVID. We saw extreme volatility. This year, I don't know. You never know, right? Volatility, it's never going to come. The black swan events, they're black swans because
But they don't
can't plan
email
for
you
them.
before the event, right?
Absolutely,
They're not going to warn you.
absolutely.
They're going to punch you in the head. Yeah, it could be really interesting moving forward. I think we just your dad, he's here, and he said he's going to grow a big crop. That's his job. He said he's a good farmer. Are there any bad farmers in the audience? Anyone who bought low quality corn seed, horrible genetics, maybe forgot to put fertilizer on there? You know, we don't have that crowd here. This is you had a couple drinks last night. You're kind of bragging about how
Here we go.
Here we go. You know, you're like, Tate, you know, where I live, if we have less than 260 bushel corn,
You're putting words in my mouth. That's not at all. Tate, back me up. He told me what his APH was roughly in his county, and I said we're pretty close to that. So,
Yeah, but
Tommy Gray, I'm glad I'm on this with you because who knows what you'd be saying about me.
Yeah,
That's the only reason I showed up.
the yields going up now. The USDA's got us down for a big number. We'll see if we can get that. But
Yeah. That's the big story is that they have a 181 yield. Our record yield is 178. We haven't hit trendline yield since 2018. So can we have a very big crop and still be below trend, right? If you're going to be a bull in this market, that's what I'm looking for. Is that 181 unattainable even with good yields?
Yeah.
I say no.
Remember a year ago, we were starting to get down to, I was on a show and they're like, do you think we could be below 170? Could we be this? I mean, even up to the Pro Farmer Crop Tour and everything else, we had low yields. And then I remember Arlen came out with a 175 last year, and Arlen from StoneX, and they just absolutely tore him apart. In the end, he was wrong.
He was too low.
He was too low, right? And so social media can be cruel and Arlen sticks to his guns. He can handle it. He's you know, people were thinking we were like 170, 171. He said, my model says 175. And you can go back and look at the tweet on X, and yeah, he was wrong. He was too low. And then in the end, we got that 177.5, I think. And they, you know, some people say it's because they took out 500,000 acres but in the end, we're producing big bushels. And let's hope we have someone to sell them to. Let's hope these exports keep up and everything else. I think Brady Huck's going to call in here in a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll be ready for him when he calls. We'll talk cattle here.
Yeah.
Little market update here. Corn's up 5, beans are up 9, wheat's up 7. We have some. Can you switch over to the meats? Because I know Brady's going to call in a little bit. And I think meats were under some pressure here today. Yeah, we're seeing some selling here in the cattle down, feeders down 200, live cattle down 80. It was a little bit more. Guess who's on the phone here? Mr. Brady Huck. He must have been listening here, and I will get him up. Mr. Brady Huck. Joe, pull up the thumbnail of B Huck. Brady Huck, welcome to the show.
Hey, can you hear me, guys?
Oh, we hear you. Are you on speaker?
I got my ear pods in.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to do. You're live on the show. So wire cattle down. Everyone wants to know. We got a line of people. They're like, get Brady Huck on the phone. Cattle can't go down. They only go up. What's going on in the cattle market today, my friend?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know if the grain strength is impacting things and maybe some of the equity pressure bleeding over a little bit as well. But on the cattle front, we're still, the supply story hasn't changed by any means. But definitely a little pressure here this morning.
Yeah, and we had a massive stock market rally yesterday, late in the day, well, all day actually, and then it sold off low. But overall, the stock market had a great day, and there's still plenty of money out there in the economy. Brady, when myself or Connor or you, we go on shows, everyone's trying to convince people that the world's coming to an end. And when you look at the ag economy out there in Dodge City, Kansas, does it feel good? I mean, you got all that moisture the last few weeks. Do you feel better?
It comes and it goes, but getting a good rain out here in western Kansas, Tommy, that's a good thing. And we had a very important rain last weekend, and that was huge. But we kind of, we're in the bushel business out here, and we got to raise pounds of beef and bushels of grain, and we need some moisture to do it. Yeah, I don't know, a lot of sensational headlines, and I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon. We live in the age of information and misinformation. You never know what to believe out there, but the cost of things, the cost of living, those hidden costs, interest rates and storage, they can, kind of eat us up, and maybe we don't realize they're hitting us until after the fact sometimes. But those are kind of the watch outs here, I think.
I've noticed insurance personally on the home, cars, everything. Insurance has really went up a lot. And you sell insurance. You're studying for some new insurance tests right now. But talk to me real quick about LRP insurance.
You bet. Yeah, I'm in a webinar right now as well, and I'm keeping my eye on the screen. It's one of those where they have the pop-up questions every 10 minutes or so to keep on your toes. So got to watch out for them pop-up questions so they know I'm still watching. But yeah, LRP is a great foundational risk product for livestock producers, whether you're feeding cattle in the feed yard or a cow-calf guy or a grass stalker guy. Licensed in many states to offer it. It's one of the biggest benefits of LRP is one, the subsidy from the government, making it cheaper and competitive, and two, in today's environment, not paying until the end of the policy date. That's just huge in the financial market that we have right now with the cost of money and opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. You ready to give away a flag, Brady?
Yeah, let's give it away, Tom.
All right, roll that flag clip, JoJo. Let's give away American flag here. Give us a call. Put that up on the ticker, 1-855-737-FARM. We're recording live in Bloomington, Illinois. We are at Advanced Trading Corporate. Myself, Connor, Brady coming in on the phone. 1-855-737-FARM. We'll give away a free American flag. Gina G is waiting by the line to send that to one of our great American farmers, or emails info@ATI Pro Media. So, yeah, what else do we have on the docket for today, guys?
I got a topic for you, but other on the docket, we're going to do, I think you already mentioned this, but we got Dr. Cruz going to give us a fundamental outlook. I got to imagine he's going to talk a lot about these CONAB numbers that we just got this morning and digest those. And then a round table with you, Nate Mangold, myself, right? I think I'll act as moderator and just throw some questions to you and let you guys speak.
I'll adjust the buttons over here.
There you go.
Hey, if you're out there and you questions, comments, that's probably our favorite part of the show. If you want to ask us a question or comment.
Yep. I got a topic for you.
All right,
It's kind of a hot one because, with us at ATI Pro Media, going live on YouTube, Spotify, X, right? It's new to the world of agriculture and broadcasting, but I got to tell you, the startups are not doing too good in agriculture, Tommy.
Yeah,
did you read that? Did you read that article about all these tech startups that are failing? Here's a stat for you. $1.5 trillion ag sector, and they were here to disrupt the crop trading giants of Archer Daniels Midland and Cargill, and that we see a lot of these companies that had billion-dollar valuations. Right now, their valuations is in the millions and not anywhere near $1 billion. And so here, my favorite quote from the article is this guy. He's the executive officer of Landis, Iowa's Farm Cooperative. They had an Agri-Tech Innovation Summit in San Francisco, right? We grow a lot of corn in San Francisco. And he says, how many farmers do you see here? No one raised their hand. He says, we're all talking to ourselves. That's cool, but somebody's got to execute it on a farm.
That's awesome. Wow. Talk about calling shots. Yeah. There's also a big tech thing going on right now in Fargo, or it was the last few days. It's called the Buddy Seat up there. They got some great things going on in Fargo with Grand Farm and the good folks over there at Bushel, but I think they're doing it right up there. I think they're getting a lot of people to pull together. They're building it slowly. There was so much money out there. We got to talk about the money a little bit. The money's drying up. Mm-hmm. Again, going to any bank in America, a big sign says 5%. We'll give you 5% for any time frame. And the stock market's at all-time highs. And if you're going to invest this money in a company, you're going to want a return. And at the point one of them doesn't show a return and another one doesn't show a return, I did talk to a friend whose brother was really dialed into venture capital. And I didn't, this was 6 months ago, we went out, he said, VC and ag's drying up. And as prices collapse, if people can't get a return, the fact that you could be older and wealthy or young and wealthy, but in conservative and make 5%, it's a very good feeling. We haven't had that for 15 years. And it's definitely changing the landscape. It's also changing the landscape of how we at Advanced Trading look at spreads and carry. And I talked to a client before we went on the show. He's like, I can store my grain, but we're going to have to get X amount more for it. He's like, I think we should just, really focus on getting as much sold as we can at harvest. But what he was asking was, where's our big rally? Because I need to sell corn at 5.25, 5.50. I said, I think you're seeing it right now. This +5, this is the big one, right? Unless we come in over the weekend with something different. So we're having to sit down with our clients and say, it's June 15th. What do you have sold? Harvest starts in 80, 90 days. And we have to get those bushels moved. We still could see that big flush out of that old crop. Like you said, July options expire next Friday, and then we'll have first notice date for July futures. So a lot of things happening. I think there's quietly a lot of people out there hoping something great happens, and this is what great looks like. You and I going live in Bloomington. But the prices haven't moved much, and as fast as they're up, they could be right back down on a weather forecast or some news. So,
Yeah.
Brady, you still out there? Brady
Yes,
might,
sir.
yeah, he might have started taking
You
one of the
guys-
test questions. So, um,
I got a close eye over there watching them. They sneak them in there. They keep you on your toes. for
boy,
sure.
if they find out at the test center you were live, they'll be like, "Hey, you." What a lot of opportunities in insurance, and I always tell people. We talked about this at supper last night. I sell insurance. People are like, I'm a futures and options broker. I'm like, you sell insurance. Let's not kid yourself here. The difference between what we do and what they're doing down the street at State Farm isn't too much different, is it?
No, different derivatives, different tools. But at the end of the day, what are we protecting and how are we doing it?
Yeah. One of the greatest sayings I've ever heard here come through the advanced trading office was, be careful taking advice from people who still have a day job. I mean, if there's a broker out there who's so good that they know where the market's going, why are they your broker?
Yeah.
Like, how do they have time to do that? How do they have time to be so awesome, call flat price direction, and be your broker? So what we focus on here is, well, we want the bushels. We're in the bushel business. Brady will tell you that. And then we focus on the spreads and do you hit bins? Do you not? And there's a whole bunch of things that go into that. And I really, really think as we continue to do these live shows and meetings, whether it be here or at Ag PhD or anywhere we're willing to go live, is that folks need to know that this interest rate thing maybe isn't going away. The Fed yesterday said they're maybe going to cut a quarter point this year. That is way off from the 5 quarter points, and it's affecting Brady. Brady does a great job explaining to it how it affects the cattle industry. But I think our greatest risk right now in the ag industry isn't the price of corn; it's the price of money and how all those mix. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think in the bushel business, right? I go back to the last big carry market. We're a long way from being there, but let's say we have decent yields and the spreads are going to react accordingly. We need to make sure it's a different math than we did in 2017 and 2018, where we were borrowing money for what, Tommy, 3-4%. Now we're probably double than that. So if we're looking at carry, if grain's going in the bin, absolutely, let's take advantage of what the spreads are doing, take advantage of carries, but we always have got to be thinking about the cost of money.
This video right here, the old store and ignore, that's not working like it used to. If you put a bushel of corn in your bin at harvest and you still have it, it becomes extremely, extremely expensive. And I don't think they'll realize how bad the math was till the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that's going to be a great topic. What I'll hammer Nate Mangold on is what can we see? You know, what is full carry now compared to 2018, 2019, even 2020, right? What if we see, D-Smart spread this past year? What did it go to? Tate, you told it was, I said 22, it was 20. Yeah, 25 cents is what we saw.
Tate got it by accident because
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Good job, Tate.
Yeah. And so we'll see what can we look for in terms of, hey, we have a big crop. What can we see spreads widen to, and where are we going to go from there? Yeah,
let's go back to ATI Pro Media. So technology's changed a lot. I used to go to farm shows and see a setup like this and be like, wow, those guys are awesome. How'd they do all that? The ability to order parts, get cameras, get mixers, get microphones. I mean, we have nice stuff, but we can go live from anywhere, and we'll do this. We'll go to anyone who wants a meeting. Give us a little time, call us. We want to educate people. I personally think things have changed in the grain industry. I know things we know is that capital's changed. And from what I understand, Brady's going to line something up too. We're going to go out to Dodge City, Kansas one day. We can go anywhere. We could load up the Subaru and go. And quit teasing me for the Subaru.
Never,
right?
No.
The reason I own a Subaru is because I owned a pickup truck that I spent $30,000 on, and it was worth $35,000 a year and a half after I had it and needed tires and brakes. Never in the history of economics do you buy a vehicle and sell it for more than you paid for it, and then it needed tires and brakes. That's what happened with COVID. That's what happened with Ukraine. That's what happened. The world's changed. And so that's how I ended up owning a Subaru.
I need to do, now you got me on vehicles of ATI Pro Media. We got you driving the Subaru. We've got Brady checking on cows in his lime green Jeep, right? Brady, if you're still there, that thing was unbelievable. Rick, I don't know what Rick drives, but it's probably candy blue, right?
Rick has a driver. Rick has someone drive for him. So yeah, fun stuff. Hey, we'll take questions, comments. We haven't had any questions or comments, but light up that line if you're out there on X or YouTube. I noticed our viewership's down a little bit. Maybe people were used to us always starting at 9.
Yeah. We got nervous, and I guess we'll owe an apology to everyone because we did a lot of sitting around this morning because we were so nervous about getting it set up at 10. So we're like, we'll go live at 10. We'll work out the kinks. Well, guess what? We're with yourself, with Joe, with Rick, with Blaze and IT. There were very few kinks. You guys did a great job setting everything up.
Joe, let's roll the clip. How do people subscribe to ATI Pro Media? I think you're really going to want those videos of Dr. Cruz 2-part series recorded today live in Bloomington. You're going to want that series with Nathan Mangold. You can only get those if you pay and subscribe to ATI Pro Media, $1 per day, $30 per month. Joe, roll the... Welcome to ATI Pro Media, powered by Advanced Trading. We're a financial channel that loves agriculture. For just $1 a day, you'll receive advanced trading research, actionable text, and a minimum of 6 videos a week featuring industry experts and insight. Click the button below to subscribe today. All right, that's ATI Pro Media subscription base, and it's pretty wild to sit next to you. I've been having a hard time because I'm usually like, when we do the day show, Joe switches it back and forth, and so I can't hide from this camera. And I have full-length pants on. That doesn't happen usually during the recording. We're in shorts, and so we had to get dressed up and everything. Technology's changed, life's changed. We started this idea about 1 year ago. Right now, we're like, let's start doing something that looks like this, and what it'll become or what it is becoming is neat. As we build the map of who our subscribers are, it's really fun to watch those little dots pop up all over across America. But not only America, we have subscribers in Canada and overseas also. Okay, Tony Dunker giving Brady a hard time. We're getting the chat line lit up here. All right, here we go. Nathan, you want to read that?
We just finished cutting our first crop of hay, and it is a bumper crop. So great to hear. Nathan, I don't know where you are, but good to see hay. We're just starting on wheat harvest. Feels like I've heard some really good wheat yields. Brady was up. Brady, you still on?
Yeah. We've had mixed bag of wheat harvest. Some good, some bad, some abandonment north of Dodge, but yields have been pretty, I think pleasantly surprising. Not bin busters by any means, but pleasantly surprised with what's coming out of the field. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, good deal. Well, and then wheat, Central Illinois, we don't grow a whole lot of wheat compared to Kansas, but the wheat harvest, maybe we're a week away from really hitting it, maybe 2 weeks, but really big yield so far in Central Illinois wheat.
Yeah, no one tries to be a bad farmer. I mean, the genetics, we go over this over and over again. Spent a lot of time up in Fargo and went to a lot of meetings at NDSU, and they just focus so hard on doing things better year after year after year. And we have to get our farmers in the mentality that they're awesome. And I know that sounds silly, but we have to keep focusing that we're in the bushel business. Hey, I want to try something. We do have a live crowd. Does anyone want to ask a question? I went through all the work to get this wireless mic. Does anyone want to ask a question? Maybe Connor's dad would be so great to ask a question. He looks like a talkative one. Come on, questions from the crowd. We're going live. I just got to see what microphone that is. I think it's this one. Any questions from the crowd? It's live. Yeah, questions. Not everyone at once. Tate's going to ask a question. Tate, what would you like to ask us? He didn't know he's going to ask a question, but we have to test out this microphone. Tate from Iowa, you're on the show.
So what would you recommend to your customer base as a target as far as percent sold to be for this time of year?
Ooh.
Oh, Tate coming in with a fastball down the middle. I'm good, Joe. I lowered it on this end. You can keep it on. All right, Tate, the question was, Tate from Iowa said, what would you recommend for percent sold? Well, kicking it old school that a lot of people sell by dates. And what's happening, that's a really great question, is that we at Advanced Trading can tell everyone's undersold, not everyone, but that a lot of people in America are undersold because we're not seeing those hedges come into the grain elevator. So like we spoke at dinner last night, you can sell futures in your own account or you can sell them at the elevator, and people are undersold for 2024 because they don't like the price. But if you go by the calendar, so let's do an example of someone who has 0 bins, right? You would assume if you had a market rally over the winter, you got a little bit sold. For sure, after you get it planted, you're going to want to sell more. We all know that these next 2-3 weeks is silly season. and
Yeah.
we could get really weird from there.
Tate, I'm gonna deflect the question a little bit. You're gonna know what I'm gonna say is that every operation is different, right? The first question you gotta ask, if we don't have bin storage, right, we need to be converting that unsold to sold because we know it's got to move in fall. And so start looking at those factors. Today's June 13th. I think you told me yesterday Father's Day was kind of the deadline for you, right? Is when this is the seasonal time frame where we historically see highs in the market. Now, us at Advanced Trading, we know when seasonals don't work, they really don't work, right? But we need to be cognizant of that fact. And I think converting grain to sales and being an aggressive marketer versus not is worth doing.
Yeah. Interesting that the folks are waiting for this rally. And if it doesn't happen, you hear some people, Barchart had that nice story, are we going to 6 or 3? And they kind of figured it was 3. I could see that scenario. I don't know what version of 3 that is. If it's $3.99 cash corn in North Dakota with a poor basis, or if it's, $3.75 futures with 3 1/4 cash markets. But we can go to a much lower level. The saddest thing, Tate, going back to your question, if you look at the bushels that still have to be sold here in 2024, 2023's bushels, those were the most expensive bushels the American farmers ever produced in their life, and they still haven't sold them. And no other business in the world does that, where it costs them more than anything ever to produce something, and they wait so long to sell it that they're losing money in that ultimate time decay of interest and storage. Obviously, you worked at a grain elevator, you put 100,000 bushels in a bin, you don't get 100,000 bushels out, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, right. The elevator is very good about shrinking it when it comes across the scale, but if we're putting in our own bin, we got to have that shrink factor in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So to answer your question, I guess my question back to you would be, why you are a farmer, you just don't play one on TV. Why aren't farmers selling more based that it's June 15th? What is stopping farmers from selling? They don't like the price, right? Right. And so they have that mentality of what happened last year. I think we talked about last night at supper. I think we'll look back and the price action during the Ukraine war will haunt the American farmer. All that quick, fast money made will hurt the American farmer in the end because it distorted grain prices around the world. Look at Joe. My brother Joe was talking about sunflowers. A few years ago, sunflowers were 45, and that's because Ukraine produced so many. We talked about canola and canola oil and sunflowers, but all the things that were grown in the Ukraine that had to come from somewhere else. So the North Dakota farmer responded to that and planted a ton of sunflowers and never made so much money. But then they went and did it the next year. Now Joe has a client. He's like, I'm sitting on a few million pounds of sunflowers. I can't find a bid barely. I mean, there's a bid, but he doesn't like it. And so sometimes when something's bad, you're waiting for it to get better. It could get worse. And that's what we're so cautious about here when we look at the markets. But if farmers are waiting by price, they may be terribly disappointed here in the end, or they may get lucky.
Yeah.
But again, we're constantly going to always advise to sell, buy that call or call spread, buy some derivative that gives you that upside. If you want the market to go up, you need to make some sales because when you sell it, it'll go up the next day, right? So someone needs to sell some grain just so we can get the market to go up.
Hey, we got another question. All the rain we got in May and early June leading to bad test weight on our wheat, local price, almost to the point it might have been better to not plant any last fall. Luke, we know you're in North Carolina. You've touched on it a little bit that their cash price is just abysmal down there, right?
Yeah. And he also has, when I talk to Luke, what he complains about is the deer population, that the deer eat so much of their crops. And we have clients in Texas, the hogs go through their crops. I mean, it's a big world. We all got to share it. But there's some problems down there. All right. Any other questions, comments, anything else?
Nope. I think that's all we got. Should we wrap it up?
I think we're going to have to. Yeah. I mean, I could talk if you let me, but
what?
Any more questions from the peanut gallery out there? All right. Great crowd. Thanks everyone for showing up to our first ever ATI Pro Media Live at 9, which we filmed at 10. Once again, we're filming premium content right after this 2-part series, Dr. Cesar Cruz, 2-part series, Nathan Mangold. We'll cut those, chop them, edit them, get them out to paid subscribers. All right. With that, Tommy Grisafi, Bloomington, Illinois. Connor Bridgman, Bloomington, Illinois. Great to be live here at Advanced Trading Corporate in front of a studio audience. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.